Welcome. I'm so excited to be here. So, welcome to the inaugural episode of Spicy Tea with Bunny and SB. This is going to be such a good time. So, I'm Bunny. This sexy lady right here is Sarabeth, and she is probably the most sexually enthusiastic, excited, exploratory girl that I've ever met in my life besides me. So I am very excited to the fact that we met on Twitter and that we've become fast friends. If you guys missed my interview with Sarabeth a few months ago, the Bunny interviews, we had a great conversation. And this is really, in a lot of ways, I think going to be a continuation of that. So, Sarabeth, for those who aren't tuning in from your side of the world, tell a little bit about you and what in the world you're doing here.
Well, I mean, I just want to talk about sex, but I mean,
you've come to the right place.
Perfect. But I after getting divorced, I learned about these 7 roles that I knew I had to perfect to be exceptional, and which got me to the best relationship that I've ever been in, which includes everything from work life to sex life, right? I wanted it all. So I knew I had to work on me and set expectations and be communicative and all of those good things. So here I am. And I just want other people to have that same exceptionalism of 7 roles.
Yeah. Okay. Just the elephant in the room here. We're going to talk more in depth about your outfit right now, or in a little bit. But for right this moment, would you please explain that you don't go through life dressed like, well, I mean, you kind of do. You kind of do. But like that you are dressed up.
Now I opened my big mouth and he called me on it. So that's what happens when you're on a platform with your fiance who looks like the Wolverine and has a big following, and I say something silly like, oh, what am I going to wear tonight for spicy tea? And he says, okay, you asked for it. What you're going to wear. And so when you have that kind of challenge, I say challenge accepted. Fine. Okay. Everyone voted for Harley Quinn. So here I am. I've got my shoes on. And I used to dress the makeup and stuff for when I played roller derby. So I have all that stuff. So
I love it. Well, girl, if anyone can pull off Harley Quinn, clearly it is you. It is you.
She's a brat, so am I. So it works.
You embrace that role.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I want to dive in first and foremost to asking you a little bit of an icebreaker question, shall we say. So, when did you, or what was your origin story of when you realized that you were, shall we say, kinkier than your friends, or that you were built different? I mean, I think that high libido girls, sexually enthusiastic girls, truly do just have another level.
Totally. Obviously in high school, we're always like, oh, what am I? And what do I like? And you like know nothing. You know absolutely nothing, right? No. My best friend at the time, she had an older sister, and we were like having a conversation, and she's like, here, read this book. And I was like, okay. So I start reading this book, and it's a kink book. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, no way. No, come on. Does this really exist? Because I like this.
Right.
And I was just like, how do you find these people? Now, back then, there wasn't the Twitters, and there wasn't the, everything else that you could be like Googling. It was before Google. For those of you who didn't know that, Google never always existed.
It didn't exist.
No, right? And so I read a book, and it started some stuff in me, and I'm like, wait a minute, okay, I can't tell anybody about this because it's kind of weird. So I just wait. 25 years.
So your first marriage didn't really have any of this exploratory stuff.
Right. Yeah, no, that was, and honest, I tried to like force it in a way. And then I was like, okay, I just have to deal without it. You know, like, I'm like, okay, well, this is what normal people are like. So I will just, I'm going to put that away. And then I would try some things. It's like, no, I'm like, okay,
did that make you feel like you shouldn't be as turned on by sex as you are, and by all the sex play that we're going to dive into the first Wednesday of every single month? Like, did it make you feel like there was something wrong with you, or did you just go, oh, I married a fucking dud?
I was like, wow, I never set expectations about what I wanted to, like, I never just, you know, in the beginning when you're together, it's just hot because it's always hot, right? Like, and then but I never set expectations. I wasn't like, we didn't have conversations. And so I was, I just thought, okay, this is like must be a really small part of people's lives. And I just have to deal with it. Because the other people I talked to, my girlfriends and stuff, they were always just like, oh, you're just really sexual. Like, oh, you just really like sex, Sarabeth. Like, it was always that kind of joke of, oh, it's Sarabeth,
Yeah.
He likes it, So I just kind of rolled with it. And then later on, I found the dark side of Twitter. And I was like, people were talking about all the things. And I was like, holy cow.
And actually openly and comfortably with it.
Yeah. And anonymously, right? You can be anonymous on this, on Twitter if you'd like.
Yeah.
And then I started doing some Googling and looking around, and I was like, wow, like there's a world out there. Like I'm not a weirdo.
No, exactly.
I am, but I mean, not, I don't have a plague or anything. Like there's plenty of other people with it. So
yeah, I just remember when I was like in about the second grade. Now, granted, I think I'm the oldest person in the room, but I like I always say, I'm 45 and I'm not trying to be 20 here. I had my 20s. They were fun. But I do remember like being in the second grade, and there was, I guess we were at a movie store, and I saw the movie poster for The Graduate, and it's like the woman's like leg, and you can see him like through her leg and stuff. Yep. I was just like, oh, which is completely comical to me, because that's probably the only time in my life that I ever thought about an older woman, younger man dynamic as far as I was concerned. Like, that was never a thing for me. Never a thing. My kids have a running joke that I'm going to have to like stop, soon, because I'm going to be like dating the guy, like trolling the nursing home or something. Fort Worth is the perfect age. He's 11 years older than me. He's not 80, but it is kind of funny. It's like they do tease about that, because I'm not shy about liking older men. But I do remember then, I remember having an orgasm, not even from any play or penetration, just from my mind, like thinking about scenarios and imagining things in my head. I remember having my first orgasm, and it was like, how do I recreate that?
Right. I had a friend in high school. We would talk about all these things. Like, we would talk about all it, and her and I could have it, but no one else. Like, no one else thought like that. And it was, I would feel, you would feel the warm sensation, and you're like, whoa, where is this going? You have to pay attention to those things. And with somebody like who I have now, I can actually say, wow, I really liked that.
Yeah.
And when we talk about it more, we talk about things to death. Like we go into the depths, right? And And then we're like, well, why is that? And what are the other things that are associated with that? And oh, let's try this, and that. And we've tried things that we've been like, yeah, no, that didn't work. No,
Yeah.
didn't. That's not that's not coming back. Like, let's just.
Right. But you tried it. And I
But,
think that's where a lot of people and a lot of couples do kind of get themselves in a rut just by not just giving it a try. You can always say, even midway, you can be like, no, that's not for me. You know,
and you can tell, right? Like when you really know somebody, you can tell, like, they're liking this, they're not liking this. Like, sometimes he'll realize, like, oh, wait, you liked that. And I'm like, no, I didn't. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did. And I want to say, no, I didn't. Yeah, but she doesn't lie.
That is really fascinating to me, that even with stuff that even at this age stage, enthusiasm in your life, comfort level in your life, there are still moments when you kind of want to pretend like you didn't like it as much as you did.
Oh, 100. Even with as close as we are and the amount of things that we're talking about, he'll be like, say it. And I'm like, I can't look at him, and I'll be, and he's just like, say it. And I'm like, I can't look at you, or I'll whisper in his ear. And so it's even for me. So I can't even imagine for people out there who have a difficult time talking about sex.
Right. Exactly.
What they're going through, because I am very comfortable about talking about it, and I still will go, I guess I liked it.
Well, and I think that's an important point. I think that people feel, who are in relationships that don't have the earth-shattering, mind-blowing sex that they want it to have, I think that especially men get frustrated with partners, female partners who are, you and I will talk about sex 24/7, and even you struggle with this. So imagine most women, like 99.9% of women out there, who absolutely, aside from allowing themselves to enjoy things in the moment a little bit more, absolutely cannot talk about it, can't reference it afterwards, can't really even be vocal in the bedroom, much less out of the bedroom. And how frustrating that must be. And these are one of the many things that we want to really dive into. The point of our spilling the tea is truly that we want to help couples, men and women alike, and we're hoping both are tuning in, have incredible sex lives.
And part of it was the difference that I see in my past relationships to what I have now is communication, the feedback.
Yeah.
Like when I'm doing something, he's giving me a lot of feedback. Like, yep, that's good. Oh, wait, like I can tell he's communicating to me the positive reinforcement. And then I'm like, I'm going to keep doing this because he really likes this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, you and I agree on this, but the man takes the lead. Like, he sets the tone. He sets lead, build the trust, and she'll respond because she feels like it's a safe place.
Yeah.
Like he's made me feel like I can say almost anything. But it was definitely, he made the difference.
Well, and in that leading role, that means that doesn't stop at the bedroom door. I think that there's a lot of male frustration that girls don't initiate more and things of that nature. But if you're the leader of your relationship, you're the leader inside the bedroom also. Now, if you tell me to lead, I'll jump on in that leader role for the night, for the sake of the role play or whatever. But if Noble Brown, is if you guys are in the middle of having sex play and he's not guiding you in any way and you're just going, then you're directionless.
Oh, 100%. And, you know, there is every once in a while where I'll be like, you wear the blindfold. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, and I push the limits, but it's weird for me.
Right. Well, it is truly not as natural a thing. And I mean, I say this all the time on Twitter too. It's like, it doesn't matter how much of a boss babe, how much of a badass, overachieving, amazing leader of a woman that she is out in the world, aside from your relationship. Inside the relationship, she still doesn't want to make the decisions. She doesn't want to say where where you're going to dinner. She doesn't want to say what sexual position she would like. You know, like, she wants you to lead. It works best.
It does. It does. And feel protected.
Yeah.
So if I have a blindfold on, I am completely 100% trust him.
Yeah.
And I know that nothing is going to happen that is going to hurt me and you can start there. That's a good way to start trust is the blindfold, which you can use a tie, you can use a scarf, you don't have to go to the sex store if you don't like it and get a fancy blindfold. You can just, use.
Well, and using a tie, using a scarf, those two things could be things that are already on your person. So it feels spontaneous. So it kind of tests the water without it feeling like there's a lot of pressure to be kinky,
Right. Exactly. You don't have to have a lot of kink in your sex life for it to just be hot.
So, right. Sarabeth, what was the first thing that you ever actually did sexually, of course, that you would define as kind of like the turning point in testing out kinkier stuff?
Wow. Okay. I think it was what was the most put me out of my comfort zone and kind of took me to another level. Like the blindfold, okay, and restraints.
Yeah.
Like being restrained. Like I broke the first spreader bar.
Yeah. How do you break a spreader bar?
I did.
Things are metal.
I know. They are metal. It was a cheap one. Okay. It was a cheap one. And then he went and built one out of like galvanized steel. So then I wasn't breaking it.
You know what? I just told Fort Worth tonight. I was like, I feel like Noble Brown probably makes his own sex toys.
Yes. He's very talented. And he's talented too because he was an Eagle Scout.
Fort Worth, I'm right. That was hilarious. That is hilarious.
So the restraints was like a big, like, it was very sensitive. Like I just, the sensations through my body and the amount of trust from the first time to now is completely, my submission to him asking me to, okay, put the cuffs on, put the, all that kind of stuff. It's completely blown my mind. That has taken me to new levels for sure.
I love that. That's hot. So it was truly since your relationship with Noble.
100%. I've never been with somebody who was exploratory.
That's incredible.
Never. Like I was always, hinting about the Dom DS lifestyle or that kind of stuff. And I didn't know what I was talking about. Like I would just throw it out there, and
just in desperate need you just knew that you wanted your man to be more dominant than he was being. And you craved some more domination. Even if you didn't know what dom and sub and all this meant. Fascinating.
I wanted a leader. I wanted someone who's going to go, we're going to do this. I'm going to take you and throw you on the bed. You're going to, like I wanted a leader and I didn't have, and I'm a corporate woman. I certainly am alpha, I guess you would say. I emasculate men in a lot of my roles. I, am, people are afraid of me at work. Like I do have that.
Is it because of the way you do your makeup? Asking for a friend. Just kidding. Sorry. Go ahead.
but it is, I do have a very strong personality.
Yeah.
And it takes a certain kind of man to make me, be able to let go of all that. So when we're in the bedroom or when we're at home or whatever, I can be playful. I can be like, he's the lead. I can sit back. He's going to take care of it and kind of let go a little bit. So, so yeah.
Afraid of you. You look like a sweetheart. Oh, Marty. I love it. That's awesome. Well, and I was similar, I would say. I mean, I was much more sexually exploratory from a young age. I mean, I had the most idyllic upbringing, but I was and my parents and I still haven't had a sex talk. Like, we haven't even had a period talk. Like, we didn't talk about that stuff. Like, there was none of that in my house. And I'm an only child, so I didn't have any older siblings teaching me the ropes. But I was always just deeply fascinated by essentially all things sexual. I remember, my girlfriends and I would like rub on each other and essentially, stimulate our clits. I mean, is what we were doing. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing. It was delicious. But then I remember like being drawn to being out with my boyfriend or whatever, but being drawn to like girls in the bar and things like that. And so it was all and I think I might have told this story on our interview, but when I was married, I got married at 19, mainly because, that way you can have more sex. That's how that works. But I remember that the Adam and Eve catalogs, because again, internet was a thing, but it wasn't what it is today. And I had ordered this book called Threesome. I don't know, how to have a threesome or something like that. And my husband did not know I had ordered it. And we had never, we had talked about it, in the moment, it would be hot, because we watched porn together and things like that. So, in the moment when we're in passionate, having sex, we would sex talk about threesome stuff, but it was never mentioned by him outside of that at all. And we really didn't have any friends that would have been appealing with anyway. Maybe if we'd had sexier friends, that would have gone somewhere. But I would draw a big bath and I'd lock the door and I'd get that book out. I'd hide that book in the bathroom, with the cleaning supplies so he wouldn't find them. And, I was just this is the most beautiful world I've ever heard of. I want to do all of these things. This is so hot. Let's see what Marty's saying over here.
Oh, he's talking. He's
the closest I got with restraint is duct taping the girl while she's asleep. He also says, I understand it was different back in the Great Depression.
Right?
Marty, you cannot be that much younger than me. Not that much. Statutes of limitations has run out on that. Back in my day.
My girlfriend, who I used to talk all the time about sex, who taught me about, we would talk about masturbation, how the different, kinds, whatever.
Yeah.
Her dad was a psychiatrist. And he said to her once, like, you know, are you sure she's not like a lesbian? Because I was always cuddling with her and like we were really close and stuff.
Yeah.
And she was like, she really likes guys, like really likes guys. Yeah. And but I've always been kind of that touchy with my friends, with, you know, and I mean, I went to Mardi Gras, you know, like, but it was always, I wouldn't say vanilla, but just, it was fun. And everyone said I was sexual, but in my head, I had that book in my head. And that was like a lot of DS type stuff.
Right.
With a really strong man, you know, like the suit and the crop and the, you know, like Neil and a lot of this like demands and, you know, all that kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, but not really. I mean, I'm not kinky. Like, this book is kinky, you know?
Yeah.
So
I could totally picture you, and I don't know the answer to this question. Have you ever been, because I could totally picture you out at Burning Man. Like, I can just so imagine you being out there and like being like the hostess with the mostest at Burning Man. Have you ever been there? Have you done that?
I haven't been to Burning Man. It seems like a really interesting environment, right? Like, I was a Parrot Head. I went to Grateful Dead. Like, we were just talking about this the other day. I enjoy the musical environment and the outfits you get to wear. I love obviously. I like to dress up and get different costumes, whether that's sexy costumes, whether that's just, you know, cosplay, you know, whatever it is. So I would enjoy that piece of it because it's a lot of, from what I understand, like fashion, a lot of drugs. It's a lot of, but it's a very young audience. And there's some older kind of, you have a lot of money, you can go and do it a little differently, right?
Right.
You can go to Burning Man and do it well. If you've got like
actually get showers and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, glamping to the
sleep in a bed. Yes. Glamping at Burning Man. Now that's the ticket.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a Buffett concert?
No. No, I'm not that cool.
You want to talk about
the whole? My kids.
I organized like buses. I went like to 12 of his concerts. I mean, it was an amazing. It was like a Grateful Dead concert, but happy because
That's
everyone.
Awesome.
It was. I took my parents one year. I mean, we went every year, and it was such a blast. And again, more outfits, lots of girls in bikinis, lots of boobs everywhere. It was like Mardi Gras. Just really, I mean, there's beads, there's free. I mean, it was, you know, it was a good time.
That is awesome. No, I've never been to Jimmy Buffett. I'm other than Cheeseburger in Paradise, I would say I might call that a sex song. So, but that is pretty funny. Okay, so what do you think the best ways for people to start getting comfortable talking about sex? And I mean, like, what do you, in your experience, you know, when you were talking with your now ex-husband, you would get shut down every time you would try to kind of talk about it a little bit more. So how are the ways maybe that women can get softened to that beyond? And I think that it's mainly about safety, security, the things that you were talking about earlier, just being able to truly trust that this person has your best interests at heart. But still, there's a vast bridge that has to be like imagined, built.
Oh, yeah.
And then eventually crossed, hopefully.
You know, and I'm going to say it's a little out of my expertise to build the foundation of trust and all of that. In our relationship, we met on Twitter. And so
which I love.
Our interactions were all just through messaging. And you get to know each other a lot when you start doing that, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, so many women will say, I don't shit test my man. And, you know, men are like, you know, got to play the game. Yeah, you do. Because that's where you find out where the trust is. That's where you find out how they're going to react to certain things before shit really gets real.
Yeah.
And so we would test each other, but then one of us would be like, that was a test. You passed. You know, like, I remember the first time he brought me Skittles, and I was like, ooh, Skittles. Like, I had no idea that I was a Skittles.
You didn't know what being
I didn't know what it meant.
but you liked it.
Yeah. I was like, ooh. And he's like, that was a test. And I was like, really? You know, so you do have to test and start to figure out where those boundaries are. And then you start with little things like, hey, what do you want? Even masturbating with each other. You're not even touching each other. You're not having sex.
I love mutual masturbation. I think that is so incredibly hot.
It is. And if you can do that together, that is a bond of trust, because that's something you only usually do by yourself.
Right. That's a good stepping stone, like,
so
activity.
I'm trying to think of like the little things that can happen that you can do together that you're like, oh, okay, well, that was pretty hot. Or, you know, I can trust him. I can trust her. And don't go telling your friends everything.
Right.
Like, you know, talk to each other about it. And if someone says, you know, I didn't really like that, don't go, oh, are you serious? Be like, oh, why?
Yeah.
It's your reaction to what each other's saying. What's your fantasy? Oh, I'd like a threesome. Don't go, ew. Go, oh, okay. Why do you want that? Like, what's appealing about it? But there's a lot of steps to get to before you're like, oh yeah, let's bring another woman into the bedroom. Like,
right.
You know, but talking about it and knowing and being like, okay, I need to backwards engineer this.
Yeah.
So that we can get to that point. But being open and knowing that this person has my best, and you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I do think that's where, you know, kind of knowing knowing that there's something kind of out there on the horizon that you really want to try, and you think that this person who you're with is a good candidate, you know, and then kind of, like you say, reverse engineering and saying, what's the smallest incremental step that I can take towards that, and keep taking those steps one at a time. And I always say, I mean, in my Fuck Like a Porn Star book, in my Fuck Like a Porn Star course, don't take it all at once. Yeah. Like, don't always be adding something new, or girls especially will get very gun shy. You know, it's like, even if that's kind of like your style, like you're always trying something different, it gets to be a lot. Sometimes girls just go, I just want to have regular sex tonight. If they're afraid that it's always going to be a test, essentially, of what they will and will not go along with. So for the girls who aren't super sexually enthusiastic, it's a lot to even take little baby steps every single time. You kind of have to 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but understand that you're still making forward progress towards that goal, whether it's a threesome, whether it's an MFM or a MFM or an FMF, whether it's, you know, bondage of some kind, whatever it is.
Or whether
with
it's
the lights
from
on.
like
I mean,
missionary to doggy.
Seriously.
Like,
seriously. It all kind of plays in. I mean, even if it's something as simple as just having sex actually with the lights on instead of in the pitch blackness, there are ways to, you know, add a candle, have the hall light on, like,
Exactly.
slowly kind of turn the volume up and you get there. But it's all like you said about reverse engineering it.
And then talk about the steps along the way, like, oh, I like that, or I didn't like that, or and learn the love language and study your mate, right?
Yeah.
Like,
that's
if
huge.
he really likes blowies, then get good at blowies.
Yeah. It's funny that you said love language, because I'm a fan of the love languages in general. And Minstrel said, SB, it could be that your love language is physical touch, which includes non-sexual touching, as well. So
100%. Like, there's and hormones. Like, I know that we were going to talk about you have to pay attention to your woman's hormones because they mess with you.
Yeah.
To this day. So Noble tracks my cycle because
smart.
It's helpful. And I'll start getting emotional, or I'll be acting weird, or I'll be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he's like, okay, how you doing? And he just has to look at me now in a certain way that I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I know why I'm acting like this.
Never mind.
But I get to a point in the hormone cycle that there are certain parts of me that I'm like, don't touch my nipples. Do not touch them. Yeah. I will punch you. I shoulder punched him once. No joke. I couldn't even stop myself. Like, I have no idea why, but I got really aggressive. And he was like, what just happened?
Right.
And we just learned that there are certain times of the month that I get so sensitive in certain areas. I'm like, just don't touch them. But that makes other areas, my ears, my back, the back of my, the lower back, my legs, my feet, like everything else gets so sensitive. So then we just do something different.
Yeah.
But it took a couple times where I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm about to punch you in the face. And I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to, but it's this feeling that I can't control. And it's definitely, you got to pay attention to the other person and what is going on.
Well, and the hormonal cycles really are a remarkable indicator of where her headspace is at any moment of any day across the board. So I 1,000%. I mean, and I think that men like to pay lip service to it, but it's like almost as the butt of the joke. But it truly is like, you'll be mad and you think it's for a legitimate reason. You'll be sad and you think it's for a legitimate reason. You'll be happy and nothing's different than any of these other times.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy.
It is. And you make a really good point about don't make it the butt of the joke. Like, you can, like, he can look at me and go, so
yeah,
how are you feeling? And all of a sudden I'm going, oh my gosh, it's my cycle.
Yeah.
And everything starts clicking and I'm not a young chick anymore. Like, I know my cycle, but I never was that in tune with how it impacted the people that around me.
Right.
Until he said, he started tracking, and then the way he said it and approached me, the intent was, I just want to make you aware of this. Not, don't be such a bitch. It was a good intent, and it makes a difference. And ladies, when we don't always get that sexual, like, I want to jump his bones, right? Like, maybe Bunny and I do, but most women don't get that urge. If you get the urge just a little bit, just a little, act on it. Just act on it.
Preach.
And if it's 1 a.m, act on, like, just wake him up. He'll like it, and just go for it, because they'll be ready they're almost always ready to roll, like almost always ready to roll. But if you just get that little bit, act on it.
Well, and oftentimes just girls initiating is so hot, or girls being enthusiastic about it without him having to drag her along is so hot. Even if he didn't know he was in the mood, he is. He's like 0 to 60 right there.
And you know, send him a picture of your boobs in the middle of the day.
Yes.
You know, like some of those things, they're just, whoa, what, yay, you know, like, wow. If you get the urge, do something to let them know, like, hey, I'm thinking about you in a sexual way. You know, foreplay goes both ways.
Yeah. And it really is a great thing for girls, for your guy to actually kind of fear opening his phone in front of around people. Like that's a genuinely good goal, because you and your man are in a unique relationship that you're not sharing with anyone else. It's not the same thing as your buddies. It's not the same thing as your girlfriends. It's not the same thing as your work partners. That your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your fiance, your husband, your wife, that is a specific bond. It has to be sexual, because that's the only thing that differentiates it from all the others. So if he's a little nervous when he gets a notification that you've sent an image, that could be a screenshot of a flight itinerary, or it could be a picture of your spread legs. Like he doesn't know.
He doesn't.
And that's that's a beautiful thing. Marty, I have to read this one real quick. Marty's being hilarious over here. My girl got so good at head, she's had to have been practicing without me.
You know, there's a lot of women out there that just aren't really good at giving head.
No.
And men really like it.
Yeah.
And this was something that I was never really that enthusiastic about.
Yeah.
Until this relationship, because I get so much feedback.
Yeah. And that goes a long way.
A long way.
Yeah.
100%. And you know, for some women, like they get it stuck in their head, you know, it's dirty. It's, well, you know, keep it clean, guys. Like you know, no one wants a porky penis in the face, right?
Nope.
Like keep it clean, shave, you know, do all the things. And it makes it a little bit easier for her to go, oh, okay. Like,
yeah. Well, and something that my former husband did was he would like instruct me more, you know. So the boyfriend that I had before, it was like new to both of us at that point, you know. So we were just kind of like enjoying whatever. But then once I had a husband, you know, he was okay with saying, you know, cut my balls. Here's how I want you to hold this, you know. And I started paying attention to like the mutual masturbation thing. You start paying attention to how the man holds himself and strokes himself, and then you replicate that with your mouth. I mean, it's
well, I mean, let's like most of our lives as women, we get told like the area is so sensitive, like don't graze the balls. I'm gonna
get exactly.
You know, like, and you're like, ooh. So then when you touch it, you're like,
okay. Yeah,
literally. You gotta be sensitive because it's gonna hurt him or something. And then you start to realize, oh, well, no, it's not going to hurt them. And they want a lot of pressure and friction, and you gotta hold it tighter. And I didn't. And if you hold it they'll let you know.
Yeah. It's true.
But they like the friction. You're basically mimicking a tight vagina.
Yeah.
With your mouth or your hand or whatever. So
yeah, exactly. But that's where men, you also have to give instruction and feel comfortable saying, I like this. I don't like this. Do this, you know. And then she starts to learn. And then the learning curve doesn't last forever. I think that a lot of men in particular get a little nervous that if I teach her this, I'm going to have to keep teaching her. No, we learn. We pick it up.
Yes.
And we learn where to test, you know, go a little further and push a little harder until you say, Nope.
And you're not always going to be teaching. You're going to be saying, you're going to be enjoying and just making noises. And then she's going to go, oh, I'm doing it good. Oh, this is great. Like,
Exactly.
Women love to please. They like
we do.
to please. So that feedback is like the gamification of sex. Mm-hmm. So if you're saying, oh yeah, right there. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going to keep doing that. That's good stuff. So, that helps with them learning, and then it just being a pleasurable experience. You're not going to have to give instructions all the time. And then, the next morning, and you meet in the kitchen and you're getting your coffee and you just kind of whisper like, hey, you were amazing last night.
Exactly.
And then it's like, oh, was I? Okay, I guess I was amazing last night.
Marty has a great point. So he says, I can't get over all these weirdos on Twitter saying they don't eat pussy. It's one of my favorite things in the world. It really is shocking to me. And I understand in a vague sense why they're saying that, why they think it's weak in that they're on their knees or they're, kind of bowing to her. But how would you not enjoy that aspect of a sexual relationship? Marty, I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you.
And you get a lot of essence of your woman, and that for some is a turn on. Like, just
wow, it's huge.
And you're feeling things. Like, you're feeling like, is she swelling? You get to see things, in the 69 position, like you get to see all these things, and you can pay attention to, oh, she's swollen. Like, oh, okay. Like this, she's really liking this.
Oh, she's really getting wet. Oh, she's like, yeah, she's throbbing. She's pulsing. She's doing all the things. This is actually, so that's what an orgasm looks like from the outside.
Right. Up close and personal, right? Like, you don't have your popcorn or your notes to take, but like, you're going to remember that, and you're going to go, oh, wow. And then if you're doing that and she's getting off and she's giving you head, you're going to hear you're going to feel those vibrations. And I mean, it's just going to be this cyclical.
Exactly. So Minstrel says, why would you not want to give your partner pleasure? If you have some kind of weird power dynamic in your head, tie her up first. That's a great point. That's a really good, fix to the guys who oh, I don't get on my knees and eat pussy. That's perfect. Fucking tie her up. That's awesome. And Marty's like, it's great to watch her squirm. Yeah. And Minstrel has a good point. You're going to inevitably, turnabout's fair play. You're going to have a mind-blowing, blowjob the next time that she puts your dick in her mouth. She's going to be trying really hard.
She is. She is going to try really hard. And she can feel when you're getting excited and you're going down on her, she feels that, right? Like, especially the 69 position, she's like, oh, rah, like you can feel all that. You feel the hands, you feel everything. And so, it's, that's something that I've gotten better at. So I've not, the going down on me has never been something that I wanted. Right. That I've said, that's what I want. I've been, it hasn't really worked really well for me in the regular, if I'm laying on my back, but in the behind position, for whatever reason, that is a completely different animal.
Really?
Completely different animal. I don't understand it, but it's different. So in the 69 position, it works a lot better. I'm not squirmy. I'm not okay, well, he's enjoying it, Yeah. So I don't get it. I don't.
Well, and I think that that's an important point that needs to be brought up, is that not every single position or variation on a position is going to work for everyone, whether it be a height thing, whether it be a tilted vagina thing, whether it be a difference in the way that his
or he has tops and he's
is
very and it rubs on your thighs and it's just like ticklish. Not everybody has that problem. No,
not
no.
everybody. I've never met another man who has the chops that your man has. But truly, like, every position isn't going to work for everyone, and that's okay. I feel like people get kind of shamed or down on themselves or feel guilty because they didn't enjoy cowgirl, or they didn't enjoy 69, or they couldn't get into or relax into, into certain positions. That's okay. There there's a whole, like, grocery store selection of sexual positions and modifications. In fact, I say phrases like that on practically every video that I shot for my Buck Like a Porn Star course. It was just like, variety is there for a reason. Sexual variety is there.
I love the name of that course because it's something that Franklin and I have talked about. He's like, I want to be his favorite porn star.
Yes, exactly.
I want to be the favorite porn star. And I am.
Yeah.
But, like, we're very adventurous. We're, very performative, like, when we're together. So it's definitely like, if you're the favorite porn, but it's not going out of the bedroom.
Right.
So let loose a little bit in the bedroom. Like, it's a safe, it should be a safe, fun playground.
Yeah.
For the both of you.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about, and I think that we could do an entire Spicy Tea show based on just kind of like the dichotomy and the struggles of keeping the sex alive and strong while also, like, parenting young children, or like, because I feel like the first big hurdle that couples face is once they actually start having children, it kind of, between being tired. I mean, and make no mistake, I think that these are all complete excuses, but being tired, they're in the other room. You've got one, then you've got two, then you've got three kids, and they're, like, what are some simple, and I've got my own answers to this, but I'd like to know what you feel are some kind of, like, because your son is older now, but you still have kind of some of those same challenges that you're dealing with, so what are some simple hurdles that will help people kind of get over that hump so that their sex life doesn't fall into the shitter? Really, I mean, because a poor sex life ended up kind of blowing up relationships.
It's a great question. And I'm not going to say I have the best answer, but that's one of the reasons that Goddess is one of the 7 roles, because I wanted to look at it every week and go, did I create desire with my man? Did I do what I needed to do? And so I try to dress up. I work at home. No one sees me from the bottom. So I can wear, like, little mini skirts and kind of build up the charge throughout the day. So there's a couple things that we do. Now, we have what's a bonus when you're divorced is you don't always have your kid, which bad, you got to use what you got. So when we don't have them, we're almost always having sex, right? Like, there's not many days, unless we have, like, ridiculous amounts of sex for 2 days, and we're like, okay, I need a break because the man testosterone levels are off the chart. Like, seriously. So on days I have my son and he can tell that I'm just completely exhausted, he'll be like, hey, it's okay. Like, no pressure for tonight. Like, and it's gotten to a good rhythm of what, usually when I have him and he can tell that I'm exhausted by the end of the day because I got up at 5 a.m. to go do my workout. Yeah. That he's like, okay, today's not the day. But when I don't have him, it's like game on. Right. Right. And then there's, that the neuter every once in a while. We both work at home. So if all of a sudden I'm feeling a little frisky in the middle of the day, I'm like, hey, what's your meeting schedule look like? I got 1 to 2 open. Meet you upstairs. And I'm like,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
so and it's scheduled, but so what? During the day, like if you're a stay-at-home mom and he's at the be like, hey, why don't you come home for lunch?
Yeah.
And you've got to work with what your environment is. And there's days that if I don't feel up for it, I have a certain playlist of music that I listen to that gets me in the mood.
I love
that kind of music. And then if I need to, I go watch a little bit of porn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are your tips and tricks?
So one thing that, I read very early in a book when I was first a mom, or maybe even not even a mom yet, but it was like the 1001, ways to create romance in your marriage or something like that. And one of them was that the first thing you teach the kids is that if mommy and daddy's doors locked or closed, you don't come in. That's their space, And I've always kind of been like, my kids will sometimes jump in bed, but for the most part, it's like, that's kind of like a sexy, dirty place. I don't really want the kids on it. Like, even, it's just,
my butt's on the wall in our bedroom.
Yeah.
I have a print of my butt on the wall. So yeah.
There you go. See, I don't have a print of my butt on the wall, but I think that a big thing is just creating those boundaries from the beginning.
Yes. Agreed.
Fort Worth and I will be in bed, like, not doing anything sexual. And one of his daughters will just walk in the door, and I'm like, why was she allowed to do that? Like, whoa. Where did she get that lesson? Because that's not what my kid, that's not, whoa.
You don't know what's going on.
That up.
Yeah.
Don't ever open that door again. Don't ever. You never know what you're going to see there.
Did you ever walk in on your parents?
No, I did not.
I was knocking on the door one. I was like, because it wasn't completely shut. And I was like, and it started to open, and they're like, no. And I'm like,
My parents had sex one time, and I am the product. No, I hope not. I hope that's not really true. But no, I never did walk in on my parents. And I feel like I missed out on something there, because I feel like everyone, it's like a rite of passage or something.
It is a rite of passage.
Maybe I did, but because we hadn't had the sex talk, I didn't know what I was looking at. I don't know. Okay, so Marty brings up a point that I actually was thinking about earlier too, because you and I are both fitness girls. We run in fitness circles. Marty's like, whenever he is lifting more, the appetite for sex, the sexual appetite just goes through the roof. And I was thinking about that just today. When you're focusing on fitness, when you're so focused on how your body's feeling, how your body's moving, how strong it is, how, the muscles, it's a sexual thing that you're doing in, watching yourself work out, watching yourself, yourself change and grow. Not to mention the fact that it's like endorphins are high, testosterone is high. Like, yes, 1000%. I completely agree. But you've been actually training super hard. You're not, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You're not a lifetime fitness person. Like, you got into it.
Well, I've always been a sports enthusiast. So
Okay.
I've always been in shape. Yeah. The heaviest I ever got was COVID.
Gotcha.
So I've always kind of been in shape and been going to the gym, but I never got like what I'm at right now.
Okay, because now, just for anyone who doesn't know, right now, Sarabeth is kicking ass and taking names on the competition side of things. It's not figure, it's bikini.
In bikini, and what I was in the first competition I did bikini and wellness.
Uh-huh.
I was too big for bikini, and I need to get a little bit bigger for wellness. So I was kind of in between. I did both. But yeah, next one is in November. Yeah.
But you're like in the middle of exactly what Marty's talking about for sure.
Yeah, but I also get extremely tired. So
Yeah.
like some of my I work out so much that,
and your nutrition's probably so dialed in.
It is certainly dialed in. But Noble has been definitely stepping up his fitness game a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's, and so after the gym, he's like, hey, and I'm like, wow, like but it's also internal health.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden that you're like, why don't I have an appetite for sex? Well, are you taking DHEA? Are you, did you get your blood work? Like, we get our blood work done every 6 months. We have a naturopath, and it's something he always asks us, how's the libido?
Yeah.
And I'm always like, seriously, it's off the charts. So can you dial his testosterone down a little bit or something?
But I do think, that's something that I talk about a lot with clients is if your wife or your girlfriend is having trouble, like doesn't really have a sex life, doesn't really have a sexual excitement, go to the doctor with her. Yes. Get the blood work done. I'm like a super fan of blood work. I'm like obsessive about it because I think I'm going to live forever and I'm going to do everything that I can to live forever. And so I eat all the things and I read all the things and I do all the blood work and stuff. So it's kind of like one of my obsessions. But I'm like, go get her tested, have everything tested. Go in there with her. Talk to the doctor yourself and say, I want her healthy. I want our sex life to be strong. I want my wife back. I want a connection with her. It all
because the gynecologist is not going to say it, and they're not going to bring it up. It's not something that they're gonna. You need. I'm a fan of naturopaths, but you have to get tested. Men and women, you both need to get tested, get all your levels, and look at them and be. Dial it in, like whether you're taking over-the-counter supplements or whatever. You might as well, right? We want to live longer and have sex longer.
All right. Last question of the night, because you're not dressed up like this for no damn reason. So you kind of already gave us a little bit of hint as to like what you're doing tonight and things like that. But I think that role play is a fun way to kind of change things up. Like Fort Worth and I, our favorite role play, and we're not as into it as you are, but that wasn't meant to be as judgy as it sounded. But we just we don't take the time to do that as often as you do. But we like to play like FBI agent, and like he's taking me into custody, like super fucking hot. He's in a suit and he's got his, unclipped gun and I've got the handcuffs. Like, it's fucking hot. A lot of times the blindfold comes out, there's all kinds of restraint and it's just that he's fucking with my senses and it sends me over the roof. Like, it's insane. So, but you guys, I think, incorporate a lot more true role play into your world. And it's so fun to just kind of change identities in a way.
Oh, I mean,
and own it.
And I would say during COVID, because we couldn't go out places.
Yeah.
And, and he's a writer. He writes some serious he has completely, and we use a different texting app. So he'll say, I have an assignment for you in Google Chat. And I'm like, okay, so I'll go in there because it's not a place that we usually communicate. It's something a little different. So my mind is in something different. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I need to set up the massage table. I'm a geisha girl this evening. So, I mean, I have wigs. He buys me different clothes all the time. I'll just show up and be like, hey, look, we're having a fashion show tonight. Here you go, try it on. And so I have a full wardrobe of all of these different outfits, and he just gives it to me ahead of time so that I can change my mindset, start to get into it, whatever. And yeah, we got pretty inventive during that time because it was, we were creative. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Like, I took on some of the roles pretty well. So it was good.
That's awesome. Well, and it is so fun to just like to take that role as far as you want to. And then if you break character, somewhere in there, fine. But it's just so incredibly hot. It's incredible.
It is. And it's something different, right? Like, you don't have to have a threesome for it to be fun and kinky, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to dress up in a bunch of bondage gear and break out the cane, the
right
powder and everything else to have a hot night. You can literally just be like, I'm the massage therapist and I'm going to give you we bought a massage table for $100.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a massage. Have you ever, porn has an entire area for massage porn. So, there's little things you can do without needing to go the full, weird kink bondage, all that. It's fun, but you don't have to do all of that. There's so many other things you can do, which we're going to get. I'm excited for our future talks because there are spectrums of kink. There's spectrums of role play. There's spectrums of the lifestyle. There's spectrums of toys. And for all the people out there who are like, well, if she needs to use a toy, then you're not doing your job. That's just dumb. That's just some dumb talk, right? And we'll talk about like all the spectrum of all these different things that we can. I'm super excited. Like, I'm just,
Oh yeah.
And I'll bring props. I'll share some props.
I love that idea. Well, yes. So our next show will be the first hump day of every month, which is pretty hot. So Wednesday, October 4th, we are going to talk about just that. We're going to talk about like the spectrum of sexual enthusiasms, and I think that because like you were saying, I feel like people think that to kind of mix it up, you have to go to this extreme or a level that some might even think is like scary or weird or freaky. And there's something for everyone out there. And our goal is to make you feel more comfortable in exploring that. We don't want you to have a sexual rut. We want you to have, a mind-blowing sexual life.
And any questions, I look forward to some of the questions because there's a lot of things that people want to try that they're like, oh, that's like anal sex. Like, oh, that's gross. Or how do I do that? Or that's going to hurt or whatever. Okay, well, you don't just one night go, hey, I'm going to shove it in your ass. Like, there's ways to step into that and talk about like, okay, so like, how do I make sure that it doesn't get messy? And like, what do we do after? And, there's things to talk about. So the spectrum of trying all these new things, if there's something that you're like, well, my girl doesn't want to do X, or my guy wants to do Y, that kind of, I think that's weird.
Yeah.
Please, like, whether you find us on Twitter or put it in the chat or whatever, send us the questions because we want to demystify some of those things. Because if you're going, well, I want to go to a sex club, but if I go and then everybody wants to have sex with me and they're touching me, I'm not going to like that. That's
not how it is.
It's not how it is. So we're going to demystify any of those things that you're somewhat curious about. So I look forward to it.
We're the girls to ask. And we'll actually, I think the reason that we are so great at exactly this is that we're not afraid to answer the question. And when it's not in our wheelhouse necessarily, we can give you the best answer, but we're also going to be honest about that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's something to be said for that.
There's only a couple things that I'm like, no. Just saying, there's just a couple that I know I'm not knowing.
that you wouldn't even want to try.
Exactly.
Everybody has the hard line.
Yep.
And I think we all back from that have a line that we think may be a hard line, but we'd be willing to like dance around it a little bit. And a lot of time that line moves, but the hard, like for instance, I'm never going to fuck a horse or a dog. Period.
And I'm never doing water play.
Oh yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. That's kind of, that would scare me too.
Yeah.
Like, I can think of a lot of horrible ways to die, and I'm not afraid of water, but yeah, drowning is definitely up there.
2 girls, 1 cup, never going to be me. Nope.
Yeah, good point.
You know, like some of that kind of like, yeah, no, nah.
But that doesn't mean that we can't get you up to that point if something like that is hot to you, that we can't like kind of dance around.
I want to go to Dubai for some of that, but yeah.
You know, but we also, if it's not our thing, or if we don't have expertise in that, we will direct you to where you need to look.
Need to go, yes, for sure. This was so much fun.
Crystal just said, "Oh my, look at the time." I just tuned in and she was talking about fucking horses, not fucking horses. That's what I was talking. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us. Please, Sarabeth, this was so much fun. Please, guys, mark your calendars like an invisible ink or whatever so you don't feel weird about it. Spicy Tea with Bunny and SB on Wednesday, October 4th. We're going to have fun. Yes, Marty, yes, The Secret Garden, such a good book. Really threw me off. Yeah, was the bestiality. Yeah, seriously. I don't know. There's something for everyone out there, and we are going to explore most of them.
Most of it.
I'm going to say 98% of it. Thank you guys. Have a great night, and we will see you. Well, I'll see you guys at 7:00 in the morning for Wake Up with Bunny. And I'm sure Sarabeth will be up, you know, doing her thing and rocking her world.